Hello and welcome back to the Gloves Off Helmets On podcast. Today we've got the Imola race rankings. Finally a race in Europe, and now we have a triple header. Well, 2 more races back-to-back weeks in Europe.
We do.
Who would have thought it? We're already in Europe. That's scary.
I know, it's gone really quickly. I do love the little Europe stint though. Some really...
Best part of the season.
Yeah, some iconic races that we're going to go through next, including Monaco.
Yeah, next one.
Next up.
Definitely. Any news before we get into the race rankings?
Not much. There's been a few shifts at Alpine. So obviously Colapinto has now officially done his first weekend with Alpine. Awkward.
We'll obviously get onto that
Awkward qualifying.
shortly.
And Oliver Oakes, the team principal at Alpine, has left. He's resigned. Suspicious. I think...
Has he resigned?
No, I think he's been pushed into resignation. Is that what he said?
Resignation, yeah.
Because of Flavio.
Flavio Briatore.
Yeah, I don't think he necessarily is happy with the team, and I think he thinks that problem stems from Oliver Oakes and Jack Doohan, and I think he wants power, which is why he has now probably pushed Oliver Oakes' side into resignation and took over himself.
Bit himself in the arse, so.
Well, yeah, it's only going to fall onto his shoulders,
Just
and he's
see how it goes.
over. I mean, you can tell that's the situation because he's taken over all the team principal role. So,
Okay.
see how that one pans out.
Yeah. Okay, a lot of upgrades this week, to be fair. The main one for me is obviously the Aston Martin.
Aston Martin,
That's gone
definitely.
from like 8th or 9th, not fastest, to, in qualifying it looked, 4th, maybe, 3rd even.
We did see the payoff of the upgrades in the race. Obviously, the strategy just didn't work out well enough.
They just played it wrong. Got
Yeah,
unlucky with
but for the first half of the race, really, you could actually see that the upgrades have benefited
Alonso
the
was
car.
looking at a top 6 finish, dare I say. And then obviously, it slipped away from him, unfortunately. But it fills me with confidence going into the next few races that eventually Alonso will score points. But yeah, another 11th place. That's pretty sad, which obviously we'll get onto the ranking very shortly.
Unfortunately, Ferrari had no improvements this weekend either.
Did they not bring any upgrades?
I don't know.
I think they did.
And
small
it's just
ones.
done nothing. It's not really helped them a lot, has it?
Nah, this is...
Okay, why was that?
Because this is one of the best results they've had all season.
Yeah, but they were shitting qualifying.
Yeah, they were shit qualified, but
Okay.
inside the round in the race.
Okay.
Also, don't mention that. No one gives a shit about that.
Okay.
No one knows the law like that, Just believe it or not, it's quite secret, so...
What do you mean it's secret?
Yeah, I know, I know, it's not popular. You don't need to talk about that. It's nothing to do with F1.
Why?
If you want
Did
to...
you make it up?
No, it's obviously true, but if you want to talk about it, we can, but it's a bit...
That's what it was awkward.
Exactly, it's a bit personal.
Anyway.
Okay. Where was we? Ferrari. Yeah, so with Ferrari, I'm pretty sure they brought a couple of upgrades, which didn't work in qualifying.
No.
Both out in Q2, along with Antonelli. Pretty rubbish. I mean, obviously they turned it around in a race and got a pretty decent result. Still not the best of the best, but I'm sure 4th and 6th they'll be pretty content with, considering how their season's gone. But yeah, Ferrari just don't seem to be fully getting it right now.
No, unfortunately, but I mean, still time. But we're quite a good wedge into the season. Now, Leclerc is really not happy.
No.
I feel like he gets more unhappy every single race weekend.
Yeah, well, he's normally pretty good at Monaco.
Yeah.
Last year's winner, so we'll see how he gets on this weekend.
Hopefully he has good results, because it'd be quite sad to see him do terrible though.
Yeah,
it means a lot to him and the team, so
yeah.
hopefully we see some actual improvements for them.
Okay, should we get into the race rankings? Okay, we're going to start where we always start, with the racing bulls.
Yeah.
Isaac Hadjar, a very, very strong weekend.
Yeah, he did.
Literal perfection, you could argue. I mean, more or less maximised the qualifying and more or less maximised the race. It's a 4-star from me.
So I've given him 3 stars. I think he had a really good qualifying, a really solid race, but he could also do more. He had a really, really solid drive, and I thought he would have finished higher up, but obviously with the safety car and everything shuffling around a bit with pitting and stuff, I think he went back a little bit.
Yeah, the second one I think messed him up a little
Yeah, but before that he was on for a pretty good race result. So I think I could have seen a bit better, but 3 stars, solid weekend.
Yeah, Liam Lawson, not a bad weekend from him, to be fair. I mean, he didn't he didn't do anything great, but we don't expect that from Lawson anymore.
No.
So I've given him a 2.5, just down the middle, pretty average.
I've given him 1.5.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah, qualifying was good.
Where did
And
he qualify?
race result, he qualified 16th.
Oh, that's...
Well, it's not. He's not. Has he made it out of Q1 yet? No, that's what I mean.
Top of Q1 though, so there's always a bonus.
But that's because the Saubers are in there. Yeah. Well, Boss I thought wasn't. But...
I think he's only out-qualified his teammate once this season. Pretty sure.
Yeah, he's just not doing it for me. No. And then finished 14th again. A lot of benefits in the race. A few DNFs. So realistically, he would have finished like 18th. So I don't know. Yeah, 1.5 star for me.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. We're just going to go straight on to Haas now. Very, very poor weekend from them. Qualified at the back.
Yeah, they weren't it this weekend.
No.
They weren't really successful over qualifying or the race.
Sometimes they turn up and finish like high in the points, and sometimes they're just at the back. There's no middle ground. It's really weird.
Yeah, they're either good or bad.
Yeah, there's no like consistency. Behrman, I've given him a 2.5. Bang average.
I've given him 1 star. Qualifying, he had a little bit of a... I mean, he was sat in that car for about half an hour wondering if he was going to get into Q2.
Strange little
Yeah, holding on to that last bit of hope that he was going to get in, did not. So, and then he finished 17th in the race. So, just not really giving anything. Usually, kind of shows up a little bit, Behrman, though, but... Well, I mean, he's never usually a good qualifier, but he always performs well in the race.
He pulls it back.
But we got neither of them for him this weekend, so...
Yeah,
I've given him 1 star.
Same with Ocon. I mean, he qualified just ahead of Behrman, 18th. Nothing special again, and then a DNF as well. The car broke down, so I've given him a 2 star.
Yeah, literally just shut off the car, which is something that you don't want. No, not
But you weren't having a good race before that anyway. So
qualified 18th, so I don't think there'd have been anything special. But like you said, there's no in between with Haas at the moment. They're either really bad or really good.
Because they're 6th in the constructors, so they're actually having one of the best seasons they've ever had. But just
maybe they just made a few wrong decisions this weekend that obviously didn't pay off.
What have you given him?
Ocon, I've given him 1 star, so they're both matching.
Okay. Sauber, 600th race weekend. And I would say it's actually
been a really good one. Yeah, definitely of this season anyway.
Yeah. Apart from Australia, the first one, this is probably the strongest weekend they've had. Both of them, pretty good. Obviously, Bortoleto, Q2.
Yeah, that's big.
That's big for them. And obviously, Hülkenberg was actually challenging for P10.
I know.
He was actually in P10 for a while.
I was really hoping he was going to get the points.
So this is a very strong weekend from Sauber. Bortoleto giving him a 3.5.
So I've given him 3 stars. Obviously, it made out of Q1.
Yep.
Finished 18th though in the race, unfortunately.
Yeah, slipped away from him.
But he did have a decent race. There was no real issues. Didn't really hear much from him. This is what I mean. You just have to judge it on how he performs in that car.
Yeah.
Which I thought he did really well.
They're not really comparable with anyone. That's the problem.
Yeah, they're just sort of on their own.
Yeah.
And then Hülkenberg, I've also given him a 3. Qualified 17th, finished 12th. I really thought he was going to get some points though this weekend, and then obviously it just didn't work out that way. But I think they both had a pretty solid race, and it's nice to know that, like, even to see Hülkenberg, do things with that car as well. He's still got it. He's trying.
I've given Hülkenberg a 4 star, but I think there's a lot of positives to take out. We've had Bortoleto in Q2 and Hülkenberg challenging for points. That's all in all a good weekend, I would say, for them.
So giddy for Audi next year though with those two.
Yeah, it's a good lineup to be fair. Okay, Alpine starting off with Colapinto. Obviously, this is his first race of the season in the Alpine. Didn't start well with the qualifying. Obviously, he made it out of Q1, which is, to be fair, more than what Doohan was doing.
Yeah.
But he did crash and give the mechanics a hard time on Saturday night.
I was reading up on the objectives on his contract now, because obviously he's been brought in to replace Doohan, and there's talk of like a 5 race review on his performance after 5 races, and also like the conditions of it is your main things that they want to get from him is he doesn't crash and he scores points.
Yeah. And obviously he's crashed.
Not scored points on his first race. Bit of a nasty crash. I imagine they were up pretty late trying to fix that and early in the morning for the race. And obviously it finished 16th in the race, which is not ideal from what they want. So 1 star on his second debut weekend.
Well, I've given him a 2-star,
Oh,
so a little bit less harsh because I'm cutting in some slack. It's his first race in a long time.
I'm cutting some slack for the engineers that have to stay up late.
Yeah, true. Did you see when it panned to Flavio right after the crash as well?
Yeah, and he just sat there staring into the screen.
He's like, ooh, have I made the right decision?
Everyone will be thinking that though. Like, I don't know why he's took on this.
Sponsor-wise, he probably made the right decision. Financially.
Yeah.
Anyway, Pierre Gasly, a little bit better than Colapinto for me. Obviously made Q3. That we can't argue about that. Was having a good race. Obviously went into the gravel.
Yeah.
Kind of ruined his race from there, really. Obviously messed his tyres up, so he pit early, got caught up in the safety car and just couldn't recover it. I've given him a 2.5.
I thought it was quite a shame for Gasly because I thought we were on for a really good race too, because obviously he qualified 10th and usually Gasly is a really solid person in the races, so I thought, you know, they might have got a bit of points, but like you said, went off on the gravel, which was a bit of a messy mistake, but he saved it, to be fair.
He did very well.
Really well saved, but his tyres must have been absolutely screaming. And like you said, then the race from that, you're either lucky or you're not, and unfortunately it didn't necessarily work out in the favour. Yeah. So 2 stars for Gasly from me.
Did I say I give him 2.5? If I can't remember if I said or not.
I can't remember either.
But yeah, Aston Martin.
This is really good Aston Martin weekend.
Although they scored no points, this is a huge race for him. A huge positive to take out of this. Lance Stroll, I've given him a 3-star because he qualified really well.
Yeah, respect for Stroll this weekend. Even in the race, he was doing really well. I thought, again, up until the safety car and the pits and them choosing to stay on mediums, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't think they pit for the second safety car, and that's what ruined the race.
Yeah, they just absolutely had nothing, and then obviously it flew to the back. It was so sad watching Alonso's name just go down.
I think it was the first safety car. None of them pit, and then obviously they just like I said, they just fell back, and then by the time the second one rolled round, they pit, but they were already near the back of the grid.
But I thought Stroll was having a pretty decent race.
So what watching him,
and obviously qualified 8th, not terrible. So 2.5 stars for Stroll for me. I think he has pretty much showed up, done decent.
Yeah, for sure.
From what you think he's usually like this season, so I think it's good.
Yeah, he's having a semi-decent season. Stroll. Yeah, he had a great start, and obviously seems to be pulling it back. Alonso, no points yet, but
I know
it's coming. I think this is his 3rd P11, so that hurts me as an Alonso fan. But qualified 5th, I want to say.
I'm pretty sure is he 8th in the Drivers' Championship?
No, I don't think.
I'm pretty sure he's quite high up.
I think he's like 10th, 11th though, which is still quite high.
But it's just bizarre to see. What I'm trying to say is, it's bizarre to see him up there
and not Alonso. Yeah. But Alonso, I would say this weekend, great qualifying, top 5 qualifying. Obviously, like we've said, both played the same strategy, didn't work. Managed to crawl back to 11th. But yeah, the pace is there. Just needs to sort it out with the strategy, really. I've given him a 3.5.
Yeah, him qualifying in 5th was beautiful. When he did his lap time as well and he went straight to the top, I thought, could this be it? Yeah. And he was having up until about, I think it was like the 32nd lap, amazing race, like immaculate, and then just down and further down. So 3.5 stars for Alonso because stunning qualifying, but just missed out on the points.
Okay. Now we're going to go on to Mercedes, who have been so consistent.
I know.
And they've dropped the ball this week. But this is race 7, and this is the first bad weekend they've had, so that's not bad.
No.
Obviously, Antonelli home race. Terrible qualifying. Don't know if it's anything to do with the car. I don't think the car was great.
Yeah, I don't think all around the car was very good this weekend.
I think he definitely had a bad qualifying. I know the car wasn't as good as it has been, but even still, he should be doing better than that with obviously Russell qualifying 3rd. Yeah, bad qualifying. Couldn't really recover it in the race. Denny's car decided to die, to break down on him. I've given him a 1.5.
Quite sad, actually, isn't it, that he didn't finish his home race?
Yeah.
He did do a little lap with his dad, though. Have you seen that?
Did he?
In a really nice Mercedes car.
I haven't seen that.
So his dad was driving for him. I mean, he did fall into like the seat when he set off, and then he was like driving around with the Italian flag. It was really cute.
Yeah.
Which I thought was quite wholesome for him to do with his dad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he qualified 13th, and like you just said, compared to Russell in 3rd, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
So I don't know what was going on with the Mercedes garage this weekend. Also, Toto Wolff was not there. He's on his holidays, which is quite funny.
Yep.
When I read that he's going on a well-deserved holiday, I just think he got a few of them, surely, in the year, travelling around the world.
Yeah, you think so?
Picks his times.
He does. What if you give an answer now? You ramble.
But obviously, it just didn't finish the race, so I'm the same as you, 1.5 stars.
Okay. Now, George Russell, definitely this is his worst race of the season. Mm-hmm. He's finished outside the top 5 for the first time. I'm gutted. He's lost that stat.
I know.
Top 5 finishes. But hey, it happens. He had a really good start as well. And I have a conspiracy. I think something happened to the car. Because he had a great first like 2 or 3 laps. Mm-hmm. And then his tyres just died, didn't he? He ended up 5 seconds behind Piastri out of nowhere, pit, and then had no pace on the fresh hards.
Yeah, it all happened deteriorated very quickly. Because he was doing a pretty solid spot of defending, holding his own, and then, like you said, just dropped back. Don't know.
He was complaining something to do with the rear, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Like shaking or off balance or something like that.
Something's evidently wrong with the car.
So I think, and then obviously after that, he just had no pace. I've given him a 3-star because I think the fact he finished 7th is actually really impressive with what seemed to have happened.
Yeah, I've given him 3.5 because I think he continued to sort of hold his own in the race, finished 7th. It could have been a whole lot worse. And his qualifying carried from this weekend. Yeah, beautiful qualifying. So, yeah, 3.5 stars.
Okay, on to Red Bull. Very strong weekend on one side of the garage and a very average weekend on the other. Yuki Tsunoda. A good race, but we can't ignore the fact that...
hold him. Hold Piastri.
Oh, that was funny.
Just went straight past him.
Literally,
he didn't even move the car.
But it's qualifying. Let's get into it.
Well, yeah.
What was going on? He did some flips.
That was a really bad crash.
Yeah, we haven't had them in a while.
Yeah, he's really lucky to have got off from that, literally unscathed. Yeah. Because I didn't even realise he flipped until he played it back, which was pretty scary. And then he just got up and walked away from it like nothing just happened. And the car was in a bad way. Yeah,
so obviously he's had to start in the pit lane, which... Well, it ruined his race, let's be honest. He's done... We can't deny he's done extremely well to finish 10th and get 1 point. But
that's really exceptional when you think about circumstances, because Lawson did that and finished 19th.
He did. But 1 point for a team like Red Bull doesn't really matter. I don't think they care. I don't think there's... Obviously, well done for the actual race day, coming back from that far, but he shouldn't have been that far back to start with. He shouldn't have crashed, is what I'm saying. So I do think they'll be disappointed in him. I've given him a 2.5 purely on the fact that he recovered to get a point in the race.
Yeah, I've also matched that with 2.5 stars. I think he did have a really, really good recovery from it.
Okay.
Well, it was pretty good compared to finishing in the pit lane. So
yeah, for sure. Max Verstappen.
Stunning.
Finally got his second win. So dominant. Literally.
He had an amazing weekend.
For me and you, I think we said overtake of the season into turn 1 so far.
Yeah, that is... Oh, but as soon as I watched it, I thought, that's it.
Yeah, that was unbelievable.
Right? Yeah, crazy.
And then from there, just dominated the race. There was literally not a sniff of him losing that lead at all. I've given him a 5-star.
I've given him 4.5, but that is only because I think he was extreme. I mean, he was having a good race with the gap between... Who was behind him at that point? Was it Norris or Piastri? I think he was very lucky with the safety car when it came when it did, because there was a slight chance he could have missed his position, and then I think he'd have had a pretty hard fight to get back into first. I don't know. So
you're being harsh there.
I am being harsh, but I do think he was extremely lucky with that safety car, because we were saying for 5 laps, surely they're gonna have to pit him now.
Yeah, but he still had that gap to Piastri, and obviously Norris pit. If he'd have pit the same lap as Norris, he'd have come out still 10 seconds ahead of Norris. But yeah.
Yeah, that overtake though, I don't think anyone saw that coming.
No, it was a great overtake and well-deserved win from Verstappen. Obviously, whacked himself right back into the mix of the fight now with the 2 McLarens. So
spicing up a little bit.
Fair play to him. Let's see if he can do it again soon. Okay, Williams. I would say Williams probably the team of the race.
They just seem to be getting better now. We've had 3 amazing weekends in a row.
They're taking advantage of this fast car early season, because I think they're going to drop off towards the end, but they're solidifying 5th now, so they don't have to worry about it later in the season, and they can just focus on next year's car, which I think is smart. Get as many points as you can early on, and then let's just coast to the end. Alex Albon, P5. genuinely was looking there was half a chance of a podium.
I was praying that he was going to get a podium.
I was gutted when Piastri overtook him.
Yeah, me too.
But with that being said, a P5 is exceptional for a Williams car.
Definitely.
I've given Albon a 5-star.
Qualifying was amazing as well. P5, that's a good lot of points.
Yeah, 10 big fat points.
So yeah, I was really holding on to him getting that podium. I was like, surely some miracle. Maybe the McLarens will take each other out and he might sneak in that. Don't know. But unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. But I've given him 4.5 stars because I think he had an amazing weekend. Yeah. All throughout, solid.
Would you give him a 5-star if he got the podium?
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
And I fangirled.
I'm being kind. I'll give him a 5 because I think he deserves that, even without the podium. Anyway, Carlos Sainz beat him in qualifying. Qualified 6th, just ahead of Albon in 7th. Not as good of a race, but we can't. Let's not pretend that 8th in a Williams is poor.
Yeah.
Because that's still exceptional. Amazing. They would have died for that result last year.
Even just watching them like being so far up the grid, it's cool, so isn't it? To just see the Williams logo, it is really cool in the top 10.
So obviously Sainz finishing P8 is another another big tally of points for the team, so to speak. So yeah, just because it's a bit lower down than our one doesn't mean it's not still an exceptional result, which it is. I've given him a 4-star.
Yeah, so I also agree. I have given him 4 stars. I think it's finally clicked for Sainz. He's getting a little bit confident.
He is. He's qualifying in front now.
And was it Hamilton stuck behind him? No, it's Antonelli. Ignore me.
Was it?
Yeah, okay. But I'm pretty sure he was pretty good at defending himself that full race as well. He won't let anyone past. Put up a good fight. But that's what I mean. I just feel like he's getting more comfortable in the car now. And it's nice to see. Because he did kind of struggle at the start.
Yeah. He's adapting now, which, fair play to him. He's got a hold of it in the first part of the season, so let's see what he can do in the second.
Yeah, you can definitely see it in qualifying as well. Like, where he is qualifying, you can see that he's got it.
Them two are now qualifying, so close together. They're pretty much doing the same time.
It's so good.
And he had his Q2 lap where he went to the top, and he finished first in Q2. That would have been cool if he'd have done that in Q3. But yeah, very strong race from Williams. They're actually gonna finish 5th in the constructors. I am confidently gonna say that, and that's just amazing. Makes me so happy. McLaren. Are we ready to go for McLaren? McLaren obviously, on paper, had a really good race, 2nd and 3rd. But let's not. They have such a.
I think Norris had a really poor weekend.
Do you think?
Yeah.
He had a bad qualifying. Well, his 4th for bad qualifying. I mean, I would say so. In that McLaren. But I think he had a pretty decent race. He managed to,
but that's because he had fresh tyres.
Yeah, I suppose the safety, well, not. I don't think the safety. I think it was just Piastri's strategy was a bit shit.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't the best.
Early, threw him into traffic and it kind of gave Norris that opportunity. And obviously the safety car, the second safety car helps because they left Piastri out.
By the time Piastri got to the top, his tyres were just dead. Yeah. So obviously Norris is like, bye.
So I've given Piastri a 3-star. Obviously he did have his pole position, which is pretty sensational. Yeah. You can't argue with a pole. But yeah, just seemed to not really have the race pace. He
didn't have the race pace.
Well, I think
he drove past about 13 people.
Yeah, of course, but it's with fresh tyres and the fastest car.
But that many people in 5 laps?
No, okay, fair. Okay, I'm being harsh.
It's ridiculous. You're just watching him clear one after the other without.
All right, you win.
Without anything, you just didn't care.
Someone was a McLaren fan.
Well, you just flew through, didn't it?
No, he did. To be fair. I'm only saying that because he didn't close the gap down with fresher tyres, but he was in traffic, so fair play. And he didn't actually struggle to get past anyone.
No.
So fair enough.
Did he even struggle to get past anyone?
No, he flew past absolutely everyone. So I'm gonna give him a 3-star, but that's only on the strategy really. But I have to take that into account, when I'm doing these rankings, the strategy comes into play for him.
So I have given him 4 stars because watching him clear all those cars in such a short amount of time was ridiculous. It was very quick. And then obviously qualified first, he was on pole and finished 3rd on the podium, and I think
still the championship leader.
Well, exactly. So I just think he was a bit unfortunate at the end with his tyres. I mean, if you're clearing that much traffic, your tyres are going to be dead. Yeah. So, but to be fair, I actually really respect McLaren for letting them do it on their own without saying let him through, do this, do that. They just let it happen naturally, which is good. Yeah.
Moving on to Norris, I've given him a bit more. I've given him a 3.5. Played the strategy right. Beautiful overtake on Piastri in the last 5 laps or so.
Yeah.
Fair play to him. Deserves second.
So I've actually given him less than Piastri. I've given him 3.5. That's because qualifying wasn't necessarily the best in the car because it's the quickest. And I also didn't hear much from him in the race. Like, there wasn't really any, like, standout moments other than at the end when he overtook Piastri.
Yeah.
I just think he was sort of coasting a little bit, but because he's in such a quick car, he can get away with it.
Yeah.
So nothing really special from Norris this weekend. I'm still waiting for him to get that, like, confidence back and be like, I want to win.
Yeah, after such a great start, it does seem to just be slipping
It's
away.
like he's just giving it to Piastri.
But he's beaten him on the on paper, with the points he's beaten this weekend. So
Yeah.
can't argue with that. Okay.
Now the Ferraris.
Last but not least.
So qualifying was a bit shaky, but I will say race results probably the best across the board that they've had.
Yeah, they've really pulled it back in the race. I don't know how, but fair play to them. Obviously both out in Q2 at home.
Yeah, that's not good. Leclerc was absolutely fuming.
He was, understandably so. 11th and 12th on the qualifying grid, but finished 4th and 6th.
Yeah, to be fair, that 4th from Hamilton was really good. I've given him 3 stars. I was thinking about giving him more, but watching a 7-time world champion try for 30 laps overtake a rookie that replaced him at Mercedes, what are you doing?
Yeah, that was
it was 30 laps long before he got overtook that man.
34,
it was ridiculous. What?
When he made his first overtake.
And he was literally less than a minute.
Yeah, but after that,
less than a second every time
after
between
that, he was
them both.
flying past people.
But
he got stuck behind Antonelli.
To then say that Antonelli didn't even finish the race because his car was messed.
Yeah, strange,
bizarre.
I think Hamilton doesn't have the best overtaking style. Dare I say it? He could get away with it in the fastest car with a Mercedes back in back in the day. I think his overtaking is very basic and very predictable, and it's catching him out in a slower car.
Well, he did the same thing every lap with Antonelli in the same place, and Antonelli must have just been looking in his rear mirrors thinking, like,
literally
moving to the left a little bit, like, what are you doing now?
I know, because he doesn't take the chance. But I've given him a 3.5 because after that Antonelli overtake, so if we just watch Hamilton's race from 35 to the end, lap 35 to the end, it's actually a really good race. So 3.5 for me. What have you given?
3 stars.
Okay, I can see that. Leclerc got very unlucky. Didn't have a set of tyres for the second safety car. Who knows what he could have done? Maybe he could have nicked the podium. Who knows? But yeah, finished P6 in the end. I've given him a 3-star.
I do actually feel quite bad for Leclerc because when they were explaining to him over the radio that they don't have tyres for him, he was stressed.
Yeah.
He was like, "What do you mean? What age are they?" And they were like, 11 laps, nothing back.
Yeah.
You can just tell that man was fuming. His post-race and post-qualifying interviews say a lot. But obviously I finished 6th at the end of the day in the race, which is, again, really good. Successful. But 3 stars. Hopefully, please just get better.
Well, Monaco, I think he'll deliver. At least a podium.
If not, Leclerc will kick off.
Yeah, if he don't do well at Monaco, he'll throw hands.
He will be throwing hands.
And no one wants that.
Angry Leclerc.
So yeah, that's the end of our race rankings. Who would you say your driver of the day is?
Driver of the day, Verstappen, because of his overtake. Yeah. Stunning.
Okay, I've gone Verstappen, same reason. Very dominant race, overtake of the season. Literally just never gave anyone a sniff. Fair play to him.
Yeah.
So the title fight is a 3-way title fight now. I think Russell might be out of it.
If he has a couple of wins, I think he might be able to do some favours.
But I think for now, it's a 3-way title fight between the two McLarens and Verstappen.
Yeah.
I would love to see Verstappen win the title for the 5th time.
It'd be so funny. But so personally, so would I, because I really do like Verstappen, and he's working for it. Like, obviously everyone was hating on him before because he just won everything and it just got boring. So for some reason, everyone hates the winner. But now, he's actually working it, and all the people who say, he can't drive, he's just lucky.
Yeah.
He's actually got a lot of skill, and you can see it now in instances like this weekend. So...
He's by far levels above.
Look at his teammate and look at him.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes.
I know. The fact that he's just winning. This is his second win of a season, which is just McLaren dominated. You know what I mean? He's so competitive in a shit car. So yeah, hopefully we can get away with swearing, I think. But yeah, hopefully, obviously, he continues to keep winning and win the championship by him.
I
You
hope
only
so.
need to lead at the end of the last race of the championship. So until that, I'm confident in him.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, thank you for listening. We'll be back again with the Monaco race rankings. Hopefully it's a good race. I'm sure it probably won't be, but
well, it's 2-stop now.
It is.
So it'll be a little bit different.
Get a little
from
bit more
previous
spice.
years. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.